Interesting conversation we are going to have today because Lord knows it is time for some interesting conversation. Amina, if you could let me know when we are we're officially live. Hi, YouTube. Hello, YouTube. How are you? I hope YouTube, you are doing well. Let's see if we can get Instagram into the chat. It is another day ending in Y. Hi, Instagram. Hope you all are well. Welcome to the Urban View experience, which is what I like to call what's happening here in Urban View. Basically, we are here at SiriusXM's Urban View channel 126 trying to figure out what is going on when it comes to our international state of affairs. So let's have a conversation. I already told the Urban View audience, me and my husband were out at the Prospect Park soiree, getting it in, honey, dancing, having a good time. And we're on the dance floor, and all of a sudden, we hear that America's going to war. My good sister friend dropped in the group chat. She was like, are we at war? Now, I was just finishing getting the boots on the ground. We was just finishing having a good time. And I was like, crap, I really just wanted to enjoy a freaking weekend. And now here we are. So I just want to set the stage, and I'm going to talk more extensively about this in today's episode of our podcast, which is called Lurie Breaks It Down. So you'll hear this way more in depth there, but just want to give you sort of a surface level understanding as to what's happening right now. And then I'm going to really encourage you to do more digging, because if you are like me and you came of age during the 90s and the 2000s when we was getting lied to about weapons of mass destruction, after 9/11 in 2001, when America started bombing all sorts of countries and they had nothing to do with 9/11, and all of a sudden it was like Colin Powell was at the UN talking about some yellow cake, wasn't no yellow cake, and they were talking about weapons of mass destruction. They still ain't found no damn weapons of mass destruction. Are they still even looking? Are they still even looking? So let's remember, as Jeff Timmer reminds us on the Twitters, don't forget, he says, a direct quote, Trump has no trade deals, let alone 90. His signature legislation is on life support because it raises taxes and deficits. He's unleashed the military against Americans. Putin is laughing at Trump. The economy is plunging towards recession, and he's on Epstein's list. That's a direct quote. Do with that information what you will. And it's important to remember that anytime America, particularly when there's a Republican in office, number one, Republicans destroy the economy every single time. Every single time they destroy the economy. So that's what we're seeing happening right now. And isn't it just weird? Can we just take a quick moment to focus really quickly? Isn't it weird how before everybody was talking about how expensive groceries were? Remember that in the lead up to the election? Groceries. Donald Trump was even trying to cosplay like he's actually been in supermarkets before and he's gone grocery shopping. And then all of a sudden, like, ain't nobody talking about groceries being expensive. Although right now, if you go to the supermarket, groceries are expensive as hell. Okay, as hell. Have you seen the beef prices? I know you have, because we was talking about this weeks ago, how the beef cattle prices were going to be exploding, and child, they have exploded just in time for barbecue season. Wouldn't you know it? Wouldn't you know it? They're always trying to keep us down. Anyway, so we are in a situation right now where July 1st, this is just background, July 1st would be the 90 days after Liberation Day. Do you guys remember Liberation Day? I know, it feels like it was so long ago, but Liberation Day was when the white Americans said that they were going to be liberating the entire global economy. Remember, Donald Trump unleashed tariffs against everybody? And yes, we focus on the 145% tariffs as against China, but he literally raised tariffs on everybody. And he did so on Liberation Day, April the 2nd, and said, don't you worry, Americans. I'm sorry, he said, don't worry, Americans. I got to try to do his voice when I can. He's like, don't worry, Americans. We're going to have 90 deals in 90 days. Remember that? Because he raised the tariffs, because raising the tariffs is going to put pressure on the international economy. And then once you put pressure on the international economy, that was going to force them to come to the deal. And even if they had a trade, whether they had a trade deficit or a trade surplus, they were going to come to the table. There were going to be deals. Do y'all remember that? July 1st is next week. I know, because it's cancer season. Shout out to all the cancers in the building, because we are the world. Sorry, just had to say that, to put that out there. It's cancer season next week, or right now, and July 1st is next week. Have you heard anything about any deals? Any deals, were any trade deals at all? And I know there was like some agreement in principle with the Ukraine, or with the UK, with whom we do not have major trade issues. But have you seen any news about any trade deals? Any of these tariffs that we have been paying coming down as a result of these trade deals? Because I ain't seen not a single one. Time is clicking. And so we don't have any trade deals. The only legislation that he is close to passing, and we don't even know what the fate of this is going to be, because you all keep learning and paying attention and calling your elected officials. The only legislative wins he is is talking about right now is passing again this deal that is basically going to end healthcare in America for poor people and all the programs for poor people and basically raise taxes on everybody except millionaires and billionaires and expand the deficit. And it's basically the same reason why Jerome Powell and other economists of note who are in charge of like our economy are like, this some bullshit. And the reason y'all about to have all these problems, you're going to have low growth, you're going to have high unemployment is because of Donald Trump and his tariffs. So that's bad news. And basically he is now facing a situation where all of the news media is focused on the fact that you got whole ass FBI agents, IRS accountant agents, former Department of Corrections. Hey, you got all these people chasing the mommies and the poppies through the strawberry fields. Fruit is rotten in the vegetable fields. Ain't nobody picking up the vegetables. Ain't nobody picking up and all these white Americans who said that the immigrants were taking their jobs. Why the fuck you ain't in them goddamn fields, Cletus? Where you at, Vern? It's vegetables to be picked. You ain't out there. But I do hope you're getting your strength up because you are about to go to war. And one of the reasons you white men in particular are going to go to war is because remember how y'all got rid of all the black experts in the military? Remember how y'all got rid of the judge advocate generals who were supposed to be there to tell you when you were given an order that was illegal and you shouldn't do it? Remember how y'all got rid of them? You got rid of the black four-star military general who was in charge of the whole ass military, Lloyd Austin. Remember all that? And then you also did some other anti-DEI stuff. Remember, you started purging the military of the trans community, making it very uncomfortable for the LGBTQ community. You getting rid of black men because you refuse to allow them a waiver that will allow their beards to grow in so that they don't have beard, what are them things? I can't remember what it's called. The bumps, the hair bumps that we get when very tightly coiled hair. So you're purging black men out of the military. You're getting rid of the women out of the military because you say they're supposed to be getting pregnant by the white boys at home, but the white boys at home is finna go to war because the only ones you got left are the white boys because you got rid of everybody else out the military. But let's unpack. Let's unpack. There's so much to get into. Let's unpack it. Now, for those of you who are on who are following me on YouTube, you're going to be able to see what I'm about to show you because I'm about to share my screen. So if you're looking on Instagram, thank you. But what we get on the YouTube is a little bit different. So if you can see my screen on Instagram right now, Amina, can you see it? It should be coming up. You should be able to see this cartoon. This cartoon basically has Donald Trump at the table standing over a piece of paper that has the words Iran nuclear deal on top of it, and the deal is torn up. Then there are other white men in the room who are like, what was so bad in the Iran deal? What was so bad about it? How come we're getting rid of what was happening with that deal? Because what you might not remember is that the reason that America is launching rockets into Iran now is to prevent Iran's growth of their nuclear war capabilities, their nuclear warheads, there is a process, and I'm going off of memory, so forgive me, I'm going to speed through this a little bit because this is really drawing on my Gen X education, but basically there's a process to enrich uranium which you have to go through in order to produce the nuclear type of capabilities that America does not want Iran to have. And so when you see a cartoon that has Donald Trump standing over a deal with Iran that was torn up, you might want to ask yourself, well, what deal are they talking about? Because didn't Donald Trump say that the reason we are in Iran is because he wants to stop Iran from enriching this uranium? Yes, that is what he said. But why he say that when President Barack Obama had already negotiated a deal back in 2016? Do y'all remember this? Y'all don't remember President Barack Obama negotiated a deal? It was a whole ass deal. You know what? You might not remember. So let's look at what was in President Barack Obama's deal, because President Barack Obama and Joseph Robinette Biden negotiated a deal, a historic deal. And in fact, let me go to the screen. Let me share my screens just so y'all can see it, because I don't need you to trust me. We're going to trust and verify, because what we're going to have here is transparency. Now, here is a page that is called The Historic Deal That Will Prevent Iran from Acquiring a Nuclear Weapon. Where might this page be found? I'm glad you asked. Here is the URL for said page: Obama White House archives.gov/node NODE /328996. Jonah, if you could please tweet this out, because I need the good people to see that the deal exists and I did not make this up. But this is from the Obama White House archives. It says here, the historic deal that will prevent Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon. And if you go down, it says on January 16th, there's a YouTube video you can watch where handsome Barack Obama is explaining it to the people. We're not going to watch the video, but it says on January 16th, Amina, can you see this on the screen? All right. On January 16th, the International Atomic Energy Agency, that is when you hear the phrases IAEA, it stands for International Atomic Energy Agency. That agency, an international agency that knows things and that investigates things, that agency, quote, verified that Iran has completed the necessary steps under the Iran deal that will ensure Iran's nuclear program is and remains exclusively peaceful. Because one thing we know is that we also use nuclear power for energy. There's a lot of non-military grade weapons reasons for why one might need nuclear power. Now, what we also see here, because we got to read. Reading is fundamental. We go read. Isn't that what they say in the church? Read once you find a verse. All right. Before this agreement, Iran's breakout time, or the time it would have taken for Iran to gather enough fissile material to build a weapon, was only, ding, 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 2 to 3 months. This is why President Barack Obama and Joseph Robinette Biden decided to engage in this deal, along with the support of the international bodies. Today, this is back in January 16th, 2016, it would take Iran 12 months or more. So this deal that President Barack Obama was able to secure back in 2016 took Iran's ability to turn their nuclear power capacity into something dangerous from 2 months and expanded it to 12 months or more. And with the unprecedented monitoring and access that this deal puts in place, if Iran tries, we'll know and sanctions will snap back in place. This was one, and I got to explain this because a lot of y'all don't remember. So we got to make sure we on the same page. So basically, one of the challenges that they were trying to prevent with this deal that President Barack Obama implemented was to be able to go into Iran and inspect to make sure that what we were being told about Iran's nuclear capabilities was sure. This was in the deal. They in the deal. It's in the deal. Now, if you scroll down, they give you more information. You can read the whole shit. You can read it with your eyes, with your own. You don't have to have me read it to you. You can read it. And here's a question. Will Iran be able to inspect its own nuclear capabilities? And then you have a whole explanation. The Iran deal blocks the 4 pathways to a nuclear weapon. And they explain it. And you go down the page. There's charts. There's words. There's context. There's graphs. There's all sorts of things. Here's what the Iran nuclear program would look like without the deal. So they don't just say, oh, look what a good job we did. They said, here's what you would have if you didn't have this deal in place with Iran. So are we clear about this? We should be clear about this by now, because I know I got to move on. We got other stuff we got to cover. Just want to make sure we were clear about the fact that the only fucking reason that they're about to send American children to war is because your president was jealous of a black man signing a deal before he did. He's jealous because Obama's was bigger than his. ISIS papers. That's all this is. That's all this is. But let's get back to it, because I'm not the only one who suggested this. In case you're thinking I'm being hyperbolic, Seth Abramson, an independent journalist, says, I wonder how many people realize that America is now literally at war solely because Trump hates black people. Obama signed the Iran nuclear deal. Then Iran stopped enrichment. Then Trump ended the deal to spite Obama. He was told enrichment would restart. It did, in fact, restart. This is now Trump's war. Because what we now know is that after Donald Trump ended the deal and Iran was no longer under a deal where they were going to be observed by international bodies. Well, let's look at the chart. Here's another chart. YouTube, you guys will see this. Instagram, not so much. But you can go back on YouTube and see it. So what we have here is a chart. It's not just any chart. It's a chart from the Financial frickin' Times. You may not like the Financial Times, but they are considered a fairly credible international paper. Can I click it? Well, I can click the chart. Oh, thank you, Amina. This is why you have producers. Amina's like, you can click it and make it bigger. Thank you, Amina. I appreciate you. Here's what we have in this chart from the Financial Times. Iran's nuclear activity has recently expanded rapidly. So if you see in this chart from the year 2011 to 2016, Iran was expanding their nuclear capabilities. But then this weird thing happens in January of 2016 until May of 2018. Ain't no authority, ain't no expansion, ain't no nuclear power. Why might that be? Because the JCPOA, which is the joint, I can't even remember what it stands for. JCPOA is basically the name of the deal that Obama was able to reach with Iran. And basically when that deal was in place, wasn't no nuclear activity. It wasn't shit happen. You see it on the chart. You see it. I ain't put the chart together. Financial Times put the chart together. 2016 of January until May of 2018. All of a sudden, now Iran has the capacity to expand their nuclear activity. And what you see in the chart is it goes from 0 levels of activity to extraordinary levels of activity in the time since Donald Trump ended the deal. And so if Iran is engaging in their nuclear capacity, and if Iran is doing so in a way that is far greater and more exponentially, amazingly in terms of scope and unprecedented nature thereof, it's because there wasn't no more deal. It's because the deal the black man put together, the white president got jealous of the black man swinging in them and signing deals and securing bigger deals than he did. And so he blew up the deal. And that's where we're at today. That's where we're at today. So let's get back into, because it's more. It's so much more. We're going to have to ask ourselves, well, did it work? Right? Because while I'm on the dance floor, my boots is on the ground. Me and Brian was trying to gig it in. We was dancing, having a good time at the Prospect Park Soiree. Then it's like, well, all right, you going to war, but did it work? Like, you launching missiles, but did it work? Well, let's see. Because Tim Kaine, who is a Republican senator, actually, I'm not going to pull this clip, Amina, because we're not going to have enough time. But basically, Senator Tim Kaine, he says in some news reports earlier this weekend, he says America was lied into a war in 2002 against Iraq, with the Republican administration giving us false information about Iraq's weapons programs. I have grave concern that we're going down the same path. There was no imminent threat to the United States. Because at least in the before times, when you was going to take America into a war, you would tell us that, we were under danger. You would tell us America's at grave threat, uranium enrichment, yellow cake, they're coming, weapons of mass destruction, they're going to blow up this, that, or the other. It wasn't none of that. The last thing we heard was they had 2 more weeks of negotiations, because remember, just a couple of weeks ago, Iran was in negotiations, active negotiations, before Israel was like, fuck it, we out, and they started launching bombs and shit. So that's what Tim Kaine had to say. But it's not just Tim Kaine's opinioning that we should be interested in. We should also look at what American military agencies have said. Amina, I want to pull this clip from the DNI. Where Pete Hegseth is engaging in conversation. And the DNI, which is the Department, I'm sorry, what does the DNI stand for again? Department of National Intelligence. Sorry. I had to make sure. There's so many acronyms. The Department of National Intelligence concluded in March that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon. This is what you're going to hear. Pete, his own mama said he's trash. This man is in charge of Pete Hegseth, he's in charge of our military. You're going to hear this clip where Pete, his own mama said he's trash Hegseth. And you on Instagram, you'll be able to hear this too, because Amina, we're going to play it out loud. You are going to hear the reporters say, well, wait a minute, the DNI, and the head of the DNI is who? Tulsi Gabbard. And Tulsi Gabbard and the DNI in March basically said that Iran was not building any nuclear weapons. And the DNI is an agency that oversees 17 other American national security agency. I'm not like, this is they shit. This is new. I'm just telling you what they told us. Amina, if you could please play that clip.
There. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Concerning the justification for these strikes, in March, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence released their threat assessment, concluding, quote, Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear programs he suspended in 2003, unquote. So what new intelligence does the U.S. have since then that the Iranians have changed their position on nuclear weapons? And does this new intelligence come from U.S. sources and methods, or are we getting this information from other countries?
Well, I would just simply say that the president's made it very clear. He's looked at all of this, all of the intelligence, all of the information, and come to the conclusion that the Iranian nuclear program is a threat, and was willing to take this precision operation to neutralize that threat in order to advance American national interests and reduce the Iranian nuclear program, and obviously collective self-defense of ourselves and our allies. So he looked at all of it, understood the nature of the threat, and took bold action I think the American people would expect in a commander-in-chief. That's all we've got. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Mr. Chairman.
I'm confused. I'm just confused. I hope somebody can explain this to me in a way that I can understand. Because what it sounds like Pete, his own mama, said he's trash. Hegseth, the head of our military, just said was, yeah, the DNI, the Director of National Intelligence, did say in March that we don't have no reason to believe that Iran is building a nuclear weapon. And yes, the DNI is the person or the agency over whom 17 other American military and national intelligence agencies sit. And yes, all 17 of those agencies was like, nah, son, Iran ain't doing this. And then so even though the American military apparatus, the American industry of secrets and investigative, the things that they do in America to know shit, they knew shit. And then you was like, you being Donald Trump was like, no, I'm going to bomb it anyway. Who told you something different? Like, where did you get information that was contrary to the information that the Director of National Intelligence who are you talking to? Who gave you that information, and why should we believe you? Now, J.D. Vance says that the reason we should be okay with all this is because the last time this happened is because we had a dumb president. Okay, now he said that and he meant it with his full chest, but I want you all to take a look, because you might not believe me when I say it, because sometimes y'all be thinking I be being hyperbolic. I'm not being hyperbolic. I want you all to take a listen to what J.D. Vance had to say, because when J.D. Vance listened to this, he said, well, you might be concerned, but you shouldn't be too concerned because we don't have stupid presidents no more. So y'all listen to what J.D. Vance had to say. Amina, if you could play the clip, please.
And the second thing is, Kristen, I certainly empathize with Americans who are exhausted after 25 years of foreign entanglements in the Middle East. I understand the concern, but the difference is that back then we had dumb presidents, and now we have a president who actually knows how to accomplish America's national security objectives. So this is not going to be some long drawn out thing. We've got in, we've done the job of setting their nuclear program back. We're going to now work to permanently dismantle that nuclear program over the coming years. And that is what the president has set out to do.
Wait a minute. He said we shouldn't be concerned because we don't have a dumb president. That's not what he really said. It is actually what he really said. He said, don't you worry, Americans. The last time we did this and you got lied to, it's because your president was dumb. This time, you all right, you good. So Donald Trump has said that there was a complete and total obliteration. That's what he said. Complete and total obliteration. But apparently, America did not actually use the weapons that they had said that they were going to use if they had to engage in this particular operation. We don't know why, but we just know that they said within minutes, complete and total obliteration. Now, I'm old enough to know as a military brat that what typically happens, you got to take some time after an attack. You can't just go out and declaring what you done did in minutes after an attack because you don't actually know. But when he said that, when he said that, it was a complete and total obliteration, I was like, nah, that's a lie. That can't be true because there's no way you would know. And what we now know, according to the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, was that, quote, this was an incomplete strike. Here's what was left. Quote, the entire stockpile of 60% uranium, which was stored at Isfahan in tunnels that are untouched. And according to the nuclear watchdog at the UN, they said Iran was building a new nuclear enrichment plant and that they're soon going to be able to bring it online. And according to them, they have the material and the capability, and they have at least one giant underground centrifuge, and none of that shit has been touched. They ain't do nothing. They said they accomplished all this shit. They ain't accomplished it. According to the New York Times, 880 pounds of 60% enriched uranium has been, quote, dispersed to locations unknown. Failure to secure this material or destroy it would render the Israeli-U.S. operations within Iran at least a, quote, this is a direct quote, significant partial failure. Now, here's the part that you got to really ask yourself about, because a lot of y'all thinking, Lurie, this is all about war. This has nothing to do with me. Why do I care? I'm not enrolled in the military. I'm beyond the draft. There's not even a draft happening right now. Just because the International Atomic Energy Agency, the watchdog, said that the stockpile is going to be fine and it's been moved and none of this was successful. Why should I care? Why should I care at all? Well, because number one, Bibi Netanyahu has said that Iran was going to be close to making a nuclear weapon in 2018. He said it in 2015. He said it in 2012. He said it in 2006. He said it in 1996. He said it in 1995. He said it a lot. We've been hearing the same thing for 11 years and it ain't happened. And now what we have is this other element that is really important for us to know. And again, I go into more depth of this when it comes to today's podcast episode. Lurie breaks it down, which you will get today at 2:00. But do your kids go to public school? Do your kids go to public? Do you have friends who have kids who go to public school in your family? You should probably understand the connection between Project 2025, public school, and this war. And the reason you should understand this is because of what's happening right now. Now, YouTube, y'all aren't going to be able to see this. Y'all are just going to have to listen. In Project 2025, there's a component that basically says that if your children go to public school, they are now going to be mandated to take the ASVAB test. We talked about this when we were leading up to Project 2025, when I was trying to encourage people to go register to vote and to vote against the Republican Party because they were very excited about this particular Project 2025. But Project 2025 has within it a mandate that only public schools, not the private schools, so you wealthy ones, y'all are going to be just fine. Public school children are going to be mandated to take the ASVAB test. The ASVAB test is basically the test to determine your aptitude for being successful in the military. And now the military is going to get access to your child's education format and their results on this test. It's going to be required. And instead of worrying about your teachers teaching to the SAT or the ACT, don't you worry about it, child. They're going to be teaching to the ASVAB to make sure that your children are military ready. Now, we were going to play the clip, but Amina, we don't really have time. So we have time? Oh, we can play the clip. Okay, I want y'all to listen to this clip. Don't listen to me. Listen to the people who be knowing things. I just be telling you things. Just listen. Let's hear it.
Good morning, everyone. There was something buried in Project 2025 that we need to talk about. Earlier this year, I broke down every single part of the education portion of Project 2025 and gave it to parents in an easy to understand way. Surprise, surprise, this involves public school students and the military, and it wasn't in the education portion. Within the portion on national defense, we find that high school students, public high school students only, not your private school kiddos, public school students will now be required to take the ASVAB, the Armed Service Vocational Aptitude Battery Test. It is a test that is going to say if your child has the skill set needed to join the armed services. And normally this test is optional, but underneath Project 2025, it is mandatory now for all high school students, all public high school students. Private school kiddos do not have to take this test. Why? Because those wealthy families, they don't want their kids going to war. They want their kids going to college, that same college that they're telling you you shouldn't send your kid to. This test is about recruitment, even if the plan says that it is not. This is a known military recruitment tool, and scores will be shared with recruiters. This test, according to the plan, will be required for all public school students. So what could this mean for your students? This means...
We'll do the rest in the podcast. You guys can hear that clip in the podcast and we'll finish the rest of it there. Basically, your man's done started a whole ass entry for the United States into this war for no real reason other than the fact that you should be distracted from the big bitch ass awful bill that is currently pending in the Senate. And the Senate version is worse than the House version. They want to actually cut more in the Senate than they were going to cut in the House. To take away the fact that your tariffs that you pay, that I pay, that we pay, to remind you or to look you away, to cause you to look in another direction from the tariffs, which are causing my grocery prices to skyrocket. I know they're causing your grocery prices to skyrocket. To take your attention away from the fact that you got the whole ass military on the street. Oh, I almost forgot the most important part. Who is the child, the 22-year-old who is now in charge of our military? Hold on. Oh my God. Hold on. I almost forgot. No, we got to show this one, Amina. How much time we got? We got enough time? Oh, hold on. For those of you on Instagram. Oh, yes. I got to show this real quick. We got 1 minute. We got 2 minutes left. All right. Before we go, now that we are in a whole ass war and the FBI, the CIA, and half of our military apparatus is not doing what they're supposed to be doing and monitoring like threats. They are out in the streets and in the cornfields and in the rice field and in the sugar fields and in the fruit and vegetable fields. They're doing all this hunting for mommy and poppy who's picking groceries. This fool right here, for those of you who are on Instagram. In fact, I might be able to show you all if you, can I switch the camera? I can't switch. Yes. Hold on. Let me see. That guy right there, Instagram. You see this guy? This guy is now who is in charge of our safety, our national. Yes. This guy is now in charge of counterterrorism. He's 22 years old. He used to be a landscaper and a grocery store clerk. And now he is making sure that we are all safe. Don't you feel safer? Don't you feel safer? Instagram, sorry, I know my camera's now off because I had to show you all that. So YouTube, y'all see what I'm saying? Don't you feel great? Ain't America great? Y'all better call your elected officials. Y'all better start organizing and get connected with organizations that are doing the work of mutual aid because we are going to need it now more than ever. 866-801-8255. 866-801-TALK is the number. We here at the Lurie Daniel Favor Show are going to head over to a commercial break. I got to take a sip of water and maybe some more coffee because child, it's a day ending in Y in these United States. And we told you so. We told you so. This is why you should listen to people who study elections and who do the work of elections, because all of this was preventable. None of this had to happen. And for those of you who say Kamala Harris would have did it too, no, she wouldn't have. You know, she wouldn't have. She wouldn't have. She didn't. And she wasn't gonna. This is not at all. But she did tell us that if you elect Donald Trump within 6 months, we would be in a war. And it looks like Sister Fran understood what the assignment was. Heading to commercial break. We'll be right back after this.
My power. No, good thing my power. My power. My power. If you